They say almost everyone agrees. They say the numbers are settled. They say the science is closed, but no one can tell me who counted the silence. It started as a headline, passed like a flare in the dark, a sentence trimmed to fit a screen, share before the questions start. A study on 1,000 pages, reduced to something clear. Nobody reads the footnotes, nobody asks what it means. They search for certain words in papers years apart, stack belief beside belief until it looked like fact. 97 keeps ringing in my head. 97, like something somebody said. But truth don't travel well online. It bends when numbers dance. You can lose the whole damn picture trying to prove a single stance. Some said we shape the weather, some said we play a part. Some only spoke of carbon, not blame, not cause, not heart. Most of them said nothing, just measured what they saw. But silence doesn't trend at all, so silence gets ignored. Remove what doesn't speak, remove what doesn't shout, remove what won't confirm the story we set out. Set out, set out, set out, set out, set out, set out. They merged the lines together till difference disappeared. 1,000 careful maybes turned into something clear. But clear ain't always honest, and loud ain't always right, especially when politics keeps breathing down the mic. 97 sounds heavy when you're told, but numbers don't explain the sky or why the seasons fold. The earth has worn many faces, warm hands, frozen bones. Vines once climbed northern hills, now buried under stone. Rivers stopped the cities, ice rode across the land. History keeps reminding us we don't fully understand. I'm not denying change, I'm not denying heat. I'm just afraid of panic disguised as certainty, because fear moves faster than truth ever can. And power loves a simple line the world won't understand. Maybe the planet's warming, maybe it always was. Maybe humility's the thing we're scared to talk about. So before we scream apocalypse or crown ourselves the cause, maybe listen to the quiet parts. Science never applauds. Science never applauds. Yeah. So what I've been saying for a while now is finally coming true. The old world is ending quietly while everyone's arguing about the noise. After the war they drew the lines, not on maps but on roads. One made the products, one loaned the money, one bought the dream, one held the guns. China built, Japan let Europe consume, America enforced. Oil priced in dollars, peace backed by threat. If you followed the rules, you were protected. If you didn't, you were corrected. This was the system, this was the deal. Not good or evil, just power made real. Money moved fast, borders stayed thin until the cracks started showing within. Factories left with the ships, jobs went quiet at home. The middle thinned out slowly, while markets only grew. America stopped making things, started making claims. Debt code, leverage and endless water keep it sane. A system like that can't pause, it needs motion forever. And now the rules can't be enforced without burning the whole board. So the question becomes not who's right but who decides. Because power doesn't vanish, it reorganizes. Four groups, four directions, pulling the future apart. First are the ones with no flag, money without a home. Asset managers above the nations, above the votes. They don't own the wealth, they steer it. Capital moves where it's welcome and obedience buys growth. They don't need armies, they don't need laws. They move the money and the rest follows. If the money flows in, you survive. If it leaves, you're replaced. No election required, just a rebalance. Beside them stand the banks, so the power, slower hands. They built a system, they don't wanna lose it. If money becomes private, they disappear. So they build digital versions of the same control, calling it stability, calling it protection. And there are the nations who fear losing the wheel. Borders matter to them, energy matters, food matters. They'll take slower growth for control. They don't wanna win the global game, they just refuse to lose themselves. Order over efficiency, independence over profit. Then come the builders of system without borders. They don't care who governs, only who funds. Data in, automation out. They sell tools to everyone and wait to see who wins. Efficiency is their language, scale is their religion. And beneath it all, the final layer force. Not deciding the rules, only enforcing them. Thriving on instability, paid by fear. Wars don't create order, they maintain it. Four groups, one collapsing board, all pulling power through different doors. No heroes here, no final fight, just leverage changing hands at night. This isn't good versus bad, it's not angels and villains. It's power, protecting power. While screens tell us stories and the sides are assigned. Deals are written quietly long before the headlines. Flags wave, markets react. Algorithms feed the fight. The theater is loud, the negotiations are not. Maybe it's already decided, maybe it always is. And what we're watching now is just the performance. Applause on one side, humiliation on the other. While the harbor stays still and the ships change names. Four groups, same ocean, different currents, and no one's steering the tide. There's a room without windows, somewhere behind the noise. where names are written softly in ink that avoids the light. They say the box is empty, they say there's nothing there, just paper ghosts and rumors breathing recycled air. But every time it's mentioned, the hallway fills with fear. Lights flicker in the distance and someone disappears. You don't guard ashes, you don't seal smoke, you don't bury silence unless it knows. Nobody hides the truth unless it costs too much. Nobody locks a door if there's nothing they can't touch. So tell me who they're protecting when the answers never land. Is it the ones beside them or the ones who shake their hand? The left says burn it down, the right says let it rest. Both swear they want the sunlight, both vote to keep it locked instead. Red ties, blue suits, same dark hallway, different speeches, same delay. Strange how enemies agree when exposure's not free. Photographs without context, flights without a place, memories without confession, smiles frozen on a face. Some swear it's just association, wrong room, wrong time. But coincidence gets heavy when it happens every time. Nobody hides the truth unless it pulls them in. Nobody fears a document unless it names a friend. You don't trade transparency for stability and calm unless the past keeps breathing through the people in your palm. Maybe it's not one monster, maybe it's a chain, a network built on favors, on leverage and shame. If one thread gets pulled too hard, the whole thing starts to bend, and everyone connected falls guilty in the end. Who were you with when the lights went out? Who signed the ledger nobody talks about? Is it about their friends, or is it about themselves? Is it loyalty or survival on the shelf? Because power doesn't panic over sins that aren't its own. It panics when reflection points back toward the throne. They say it's for the victims, they say it's for the law, but justice doesn't need decades, and it doesn't stop. Truth doesn't need permission, doesn't wait its turn. It only waits for courage from the ones who never learn. If the names were nobodies, this would all be done. But kings don't share the gallows with the faceless ones. So the drawer stays closed, not because of doubt, because too many futures would collapse if it came out. Empires aren't fragile because they're weak. They're fragile because they're built on things they can't speak. Maybe it's not about guilt, maybe it's about control. 'Cause once the light turns on, you can't choose what it shows. And the harbor knows this, the water keeps the sound. Some secrets don't sink, they just wait until the tide goes down. Till the tide goes down. about control. Because once the light turns on, you can't choose what it shows. And the harbor knows this, the water keeps the sound. Some secrets don't sink, they just wait until the tide goes down. Funny world we built, where silence is mercy and speech is the crime. You can steal a body, you can break a life, disappear in the paperwork, do a fraction of the time, but say the wrong sentence out loud online, and suddenly the system finds its spine. Cells fill fast for thoughts they don't like. You're a bigger criminal for words you say than for blood on your hands that fades away. Say something inconvenient, cross the approved line, and justice wakes up angry right on time. Violence gets a headline, then quietly reduced. Conflicts, background circumstances, abuse. But question authority, name the rod, and punishment arrives while the real ones walk. Strange priorities for a moral system. Courts move slow for victims, fast for dissent. Compassion gets delayed, control gets spent. They'll say it's for safety, they'll say it's for peace, but peace shouldn't require your tongue on a leash. You're a bigger criminal if you don't comply, if you notice patterns, if you ask them why. The law forgives monsters if they stay aligned, but never forgives thinkers who step outside. Harm is tolerated, truth is not. They don't fear violence, they've ensured it well. They fear ideas they can't jail, because fists stand lives, but thoughts ignite, and power survives darkness, not light. You can't arrest a conscience, but you can try. So the cages fill quietly with the wrong kind of threat. Not killers, not rapists, but people who won't forget. Because crimes can be managed, bodies can be buried, but a voice that keeps asking cannot be carried. History won't ask who followed the rules, it asks why truth was dangerous and silence was cool. And somewhere the harbor listens while the sirens climb, in a world where wrong actions fade, but wrong words do time. keep asking which side you're on, like the tide needs permission. Like the sea checks flags before it calls someone under. They draw a line on a screen, paint it red, paint it blue. Tell your pain has a uniform, tell your truth wears a suit. They hand you a slogan, tell you who to defend. Say pick a direction, or you're the enemy then. But the bombs don't ask questions, and grief don't fold. It don't matter left or right when the ground gives way. It don't matter who's correct when children pay. You can scream your colors through a megaphone, but blood looks the same when it hits the stone. They say choose your outrage, choose your war, choose which dead ones matter more. Ukraine or Russia, Palestine or Israel. They sell it like a game board where nobody rings the bell. Different maps, same mothers crying, different gods, same silence rising. If hate needs a flag, someone sold it one. They feed us fear in headlines, one side pure, one side wrong. Keep us fighting shadow so the architects stay gone. Because unity is dangerous, empathy breaks control. If human heart sees faces, not the borders they were sold. It don't matter left or right when the sirens sing. It don't matter who you blame if you feel the same thing. Pain don't care for history or whose land came first. The grave don't check your politics before it opens the earth. They say justice wears a cover, a compassion doesn't speak. It just shows up quietly when someone's too weak. You can chant your tribe's belief till your voice is gone, but kindness doesn't trend and still goes on. Division is loud, humanity whispers. If you cheer when strangers fall because your side feels right, they already won before the fight. 'Cause evil doesn't need monsters, just people who choose a team over the simple courage to see another human being. It's not left, it's not right, it's not east or west. It's whether you sleep at night knowing you tried your best to see a person, not a cause, a heartbeat, not the laws. The side don't matter, never did, only what you do when the suffering hits. The sea doesn't divide us, it carries everyone. Same water, same ending, same sun. And when the harbor lights come on, they don't choose who they shine through. They just ask one thing quietly: are you human? If it helps you sleep, words fall out. the times don't matter now. They lost their weight in the noise. Every label's been overused till it forgot its voice. You can point and shout from a polished screen, but screaming names don't change what's happening. If truth offends, maybe it's not the truth that's broken. Call it what you want, throw the words like stones. Racist, traitor, this or that, till the meaning's gone. But fear dressed up as virtue is still feel inside. And silence isn't justice, just pressure applied. You can't ask a question anymore without being assigned a side. Can't pause the crowd, can't think out loud. Every doubt is taken as a crime. They say don't look there, they say don't speak. They say if you notice patterns, you're the problem, not what you see. If conversation is dangerous, what are you protecting? Because truth doesn't need protection from honest eyes, and lies don't collapse until someone tries. If your argument can't breathe in daylight, maybe it was never strong to begin with. Call it what you want, I won't take the bait. Flames don't erase reality or make it display. You can find me quiet, you can close the room, but the questions keep growing even when you don't want them to. It's not hatred to notice, it's not violence to ask, it's not cruelty to say something's cracked in the blast. If you can't examine your side without rage or defense, don't blame the mirror for the consequence. Pointing isn't violence, seeing isn't hard. They taught us that disagreement means intact, that curiosity means consent. But the world of faded dialogue is already lost, because truth survives conflict, lies survive applause. So call me every name till the list runs dry. I won't trade my conscience for quite a lie. A sneaking cost reputation, so be it. I'd rather lose a title than lose what I see. History doesn't ask who used the right words, it asks who stayed honest when silence was preferred. And when the shouting fades and the slogans spoil through, only one thing remains. But you look away did you tell the truth? The night didn't break us, it just taught us where the light is. Long road behind our feet, dust still on our skin, but the horizon feels wider than it ever did back then. No one's coming to save us, no throne, no plan, no sign, just hands that learn to hold on and hearts that learn to try. Freedom isn't given, it's grown. We'll build a morning with our own hands, not borrowed promises, not someone else's land. Brick by brick, breath by breath, a life that doesn't ask permission to exist. No map that knows the way, no voice that owns the truth, only questions getting better every time we choose. The world may shake and shout, try to tell us who to be, but nothing holds more power than a mind that's finally free. The future isn't waiting, it's listening. We don't need perfect systems or flags that claim the sky, just space enough for kindness and courage to reply. If we stumble, we'll rebuild. If we fall, we rise again. Not because it's easy, but because we can. We'll build the morning out of trust, out of truth, out of us. No chains disguised as safety, no fear pretending to lead, only the quiet strength of choosing to be free. Light doesn't argue, it arrives, it arrives. We'll build the morning past the dark, past the noise, past the scars. Not a perfect world, just one that's real, where no one's owned and everyone feels. The sun will rise, not because we're told, but because we dare to believe it could. Freedom isn't somewhere else or waiting down the line, it's every step we take together when we decide this future is ours. They told me work sets you free, but it feels more like permission to keep breathing. Alarm clock cuts the dream in half, same morning, different year. Trade my hours for a number that disappears. Coffee tastes like obligation, neon lights before the sun. I don't chase a future anymore, I just outrun. They said do what you love, I said I did. Then rent showed up and buried it. I don't live, I maintain. I'm paid to survive, not to live my life. Just enough to stay afloat, never enough to rise. They sell us hope in monthly plans with interest on the air. Working just to stay alive, like dying costs too much to bear. Every dream needs approval, every pause feels wrong. Rest is labeled laziness if it lasts too long. We rent the roof, we rent the floor, we rent the silence between the doors. Nothing's owned, just temporarily held, like we're visitors in our own selves. You're not broke, you're extracted. Productivity as morality, busy means you're good. Exhaustion won't lack honor, misunderstood. They say at least you're free while tightening the rope. Freedom shouldn't feel like fear or come with a coat. I'm paid to survive, not to feel okay. Just enough to not fall through another day. If I stop, I'm invisible. If I speak, I'm ungrateful. If I break, I'm replaceable. And that's a table. Born a win, die a win, die a win. The cost of living rises, but the living doesn't change. Same body, same limits, different wage. They print comfort for the powerful, stress for the rest. Tell us gratitude is virtue when we're empty in the chest. They don't need chains when time itself is sold. I'm paid to survive, to keep the lights on dim, to dream on weekends, then forget again. They don't steal our future, they just delay, till we're too tired to ask why it slipped away. Maybe survival was never the goal. Maybe they just needed bodies that wouldn't say no. And somewhere beneath the noise, under overtime skies, there's a version of me still learning how to live. Not survive. Not survive. About what hurts them, no one asking. Why it does. You can always feel offended if you wanna be. There's a trigger in every sentence if you look hard enough to see. Words don't swing themselves, they don't jump from the air. They only cut as deep there's a meaning you wear. Pain isn't automatic, it's interpreted. You can choose to be offended, you can choose to bruise, you can hand a stranger power every time you choose. If everything's an insult, nothing's left to say, and outrage turns to currency spent every day. You say freedom's dangerous because someone spoke, but silence isn't kindness, it's just fear in a coat. You want the world padded, edges filed thin, but life still hits hard, no matter what you're in. Intent matters, context matters, but feelings don't rule reality. You can insult the sky for raining, the sea for being cold. You can curse the passing years for making you old, but the world won't apologize for existing loud. It just keeps moving forward through the offended crowd. You can choose to be offended, or you can choose to stand, knowing someone else's words aren't chains around your hands. If anger is your reflex, you'll never see the light, because offense is a prison with the door locked from inside. Not every discomfort is an attack, not every disagreement is a crack. If I speak my truth and it shakes your ground, it doesn't make me violent, it just means you heard the sound. You don't own the meaning once words leave my mouth. You decide the echo, you decide the fallout. So say what you want about me, I'll do the same with care. If you choose to carry offense, that weight is yours to bear. Because strength isn't silence, and respect isn't fear, and being offended is not the same as being hurt. You can't control the ocean or calm every wave, but you can choose whether you drown in it or learn how to stay afloat.
They just charge you to continue, born with a number before a name, account already open before the first inhale came. Every step recorded, every breath assessed. Welcome to the system, please accept the debt. You didn't borrow this life, but you're paying anyway. There's interest on breathing, fees on the air. You exist too loudly, so they bill you there. They don't own your body, they just rent the time and collect a little more every time you're fine. What Water costs more than silence. Shelter costs your youth. Health comes with paperwork. Truth comes with proof. You work to earn permission to keep your lights on blue. Miss one payment cycle and life turns on you. Debt isn't money, it's obedience. Inflation needs tomorrow before it's born. The future mortgage quietly every dawn. They call it participation, they call it fair, but fairness shouldn't compound while you're barely there. There's interest on breathing, late fees on rest. They monetize your heartbeat, then tax what's left. If you fall behind, they don't ask why. They just raise the rate and watch you try. Survival with penalties. You can't pause the meter, you can't step away. Time itself is rented by the day. Even freedom has a price tag, printed small, and the invoice keeps arriving after it's all gone. There's interest on breathing and no way to pay except giving more hours of yourself away. They don't need your loyalty, they don't need belief. They just need you running till you can't feel your feet. One day the bill will stop, the clock will break in two, and the only thing unpaid will be you. Because you were never meant to earn the right to breathe. They said if you don't like it, you can always leave. So I looked at the map and left quietly. Every border has a camera, every port has a rule, every flag's got sponsors, every crown's got a tool. You can change the language, change the street you're on, but the contract stays standing when the anthem's gone. Different faces, same hand on the wire. There ain't a place to disappear, not a corner off the grid. No land where thought is free without permission from a lid. If power can't reach you, it's only 'cause nothing grows. And if freedom lives there, it's buried under broken roads. They said go rural, they said go small, but the satellites still hover over barns and walls. Digital names, biometric skin. You don't opt out quietly, you're just logged in thin. You can run from cities, run from noise and light, but the system learned distance a long damn time ago.
You're not tracked by where you live, you're tracked by who you are. They say there are countries that still stand alone, but look a little closer at the loans they're on. No banks, no leverage, no seed, no say, just poverty guarding the gate. If power doesn't rule there, it's because it left, and what it leaves behind is never wealth. There ain't a country on earth where the strings don't pull. If the lights still work, someone owns the fuel. And if no one's watching, and no one's in charge, you're not free, you're just forgotten and scarred. Ooh. Every government bows somewhere, some kneel, some pretend. Somewhere democracy, somewhere men with guns. Global hands don't need flags, they don't need a throne. They rule by supply chains and the fear of being alone. Power doesn't conquer anymore, it integrates. They told us freedom was travel, was passports and choice, but choice inside a cage is still a voice with a price. You can vote, you can post, you can scream at the wall, but nothing scares power like people who see it all. There's nowhere left to run, no untouched sand, no island where truth survives without shaking a hand. If the world leaves you alone, it's because it's already dead. And if you wanna think freely, you'll have to do it in your head. So I don't dream of escape now, I don't chase the myth. I build my harbor in silence, where they can't legislate thought or license belief. No nation, no savior, no promised land, just a mind that stays awake in a world that wants it asleep. The quiet sound of something being born, and not from sweat, not from soil, but from a button pressed at dawn. We wake up to the alarm, trade hours for a wage, count the minutes of our lives on a government-issued page. They tell us money has value because we believe it does, but belief is cheap when printing costs nothing at all. They don't mind it, they don't earn it, they don't bleed for what they spend. They make it out of thin air while we make it with our time. They create it with a keystroke, we create it with our spine. We pay taxes on the hours they invented overnight, working for a number they summon from the light. Infinite zeros on a screen, no ceiling, no end, yet somehow there's never enough when it comes back to the men. Bailouts flow like rivers, upward not below. Losses get forgiven if you're already in control. If money was real labor, they'd never print it free. They say it's for stability, for markets, for the good. price keeps rising like it always knew it would. Inflation isn't magic, it's a tax without a vote. A silent hand in every pocket, tight in invisible rope. They make it out of thin air and charge us interest too. Borrowed from tomorrow to pay for yesterday's truth. We build roads, schools and lives, then ask where it all went, while the bill gets heavier every time they prevent. You work your whole existence to maybe own a home, while assets inflate freely for the ones already grown. It's not laziness or failure, it's arithmetic by design. When money's born without effort, labor's bound to fall behind. Who works for who? Tell us be grateful for the system we're in, as if chains feel lighter when they're painted thin. They say that's just economics, like nature or rain. But rules written by people can be written again. They make it out of thin air while we trade life for pay, taxed on birth, breath, death, every step of the way. If money were honest, it would smell like sweat, not printer ink and promises. We're still paying back. One day the screen will go dark, the numbers fade from view, and all that will remain is what we built and who. Because you can't print time, you can't mint use, and no central bank on earth can create another you. If your fist beats first, your mind already left her home. You raise your voice, then raise your hands, and words don't bend to your command. Fingers shaking in your chest, like it's someone else to blame. But violence isn't strength, it's panic wearing flame. Power doesn't need to swing, it doesn't rush, it doesn't shout. Physical violence is a language of fear. When the mind runs empty, the fists appear. If you had the words, you wouldn't strike. If you had control, you wouldn't fight. The loudest man in the room is ready, the strong one. Strength doesn't flinch when it's challenged by none. You confuse intimidation with command, but respect doesn't grow from a clenched hand. A calm voice is harder to master than a punch. Every bullet needs defeat before it lands, because the moment you hit, you stop trying to understand. Trade reason for reaction, thought for heat, and call it dominance while standing on retreat. Physical violence isn't power or pride. It's the sound of an argument control, just noise, it's skin and bone. Where your strength doesn't need witnesses or someone to feel slow. If fear didn't live inside, there'd be nothing to prove. The strongest people that I've known never threatened at all. They could end the chaos without raising a wall, because intelligence listens before it decides, and insecurity always rushes to collide. You don't hit when you're certain, you don't strike when you know, you don't lash out at others when your mind's in control. Violence isn't courage, it's confusion in disguise. A moment where weakness mistakes itself for size. So if hands start flying before thoughts appear, it's not power you're seeing, it's here. And the harbor stays still while the waves explode, because the calmest minds carry the heaviest load.